Picture this. You're around 8 years old and you're letting yourself into an empty house. You know where the key is hidden. You know not to answer the door. You know how to make yourself something to eat and get started on your homework before anyone gets home. And nobody praises you for it. It isn't impressive. It's just expected. That's the deal. You sort yourself out. You don't make a fuss. You get on with it. And you're good at it. You still are. That's the problem. Because that same skill, the one that made you a capable little kid, is running quietly underneath your overthinking right now. It's why you can't switch your brain off at 2 a.m. Why you'll solve a problem alone for a week before you dream of asking for help. Why nothing you do ever feels quite good enough. Whether that empty house was your exact childhood or not, if you grew up around the 70s or 80s, you were handed a very particular set of instructions, long before you were old enough to question them. Let me show you where that voice in your head actually came from. Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. You might recognize yourself in some of this. You're drowning in a week from hell, and when someone asks how you are, you hear yourself say, "I'm fine," automatically, before you've even checked. Or someone offers to help, genuinely, and instead of relief, you feel this flicker of discomfort, like you've been caught out, like needing it means something's wrong with you. You'll redo a job yourself rather than ask how it's done. You'll sit on a worry for a week before you dream of mentioning it to anyone. And when you finally do rest, you don't feel rested. You feel like you're getting away with something. If that's landing a little too accurately, stay with me, because none of it is random. So here's the question. Why is it so hard for you to let anyone help you? Why does rest feel like slacking? And why is there a voice in your head that has never, not once, told you you've done enough? The short answer is you didn't build that voice. You inherited it, and some of it is generational. The independence you were praised for, or more often just quietly expected to have, arrived with a hidden instruction manual. Handle it yourself. Don't be a burden. Feelings are fine, as long as nobody has to see them. You absorbed those rules before you were old enough to argue, and your brain has been loyally following them ever since. You're not broken. You're running a very old operating system. It made complete sense back then. It just never got updated for the life you're living now. Your generation has a name, Gen X, the latchkey kids. You were the first generation of children raised in large numbers to come home to an empty house and manage on your own until a parent got in. Divorce rates were climbing, more mothers were going out to work, and the parenting mood of the time wasn't, "Let's talk about your feelings." It was, "Children should be seen and not heard." So you learned two things at once, one useful, one expensive. You learned you could cope, and I want to be fair here, because this bit matters. The research on latchkey kids is more balanced than the headlines suggest. It didn't find you were damaged by being left to get on with it. A lot of you built real competence out of it. That low drama, just handle it steadiness, other people quietly envy. But here's the part most people miss. It wasn't the independence that shaped your overthinking. It was the message wrapped around it. Right next to, "You can handle this," sat a quieter rule. And you have to. No falling apart. No needing too much. No making your struggle anyone else's problem. And when you're taught to keep your feelings off your face, you learn a specific skill. A psychologist at Stanford called James Gross gave it a name, expressive suppression. Pushing the feeling down so nobody can read it on you. And his research found something that should stop you in your tracks. Hiding the feeling doesn't shrink it. It's all still there inside. You've just spent enormous energy covering it, and your body actually winds up more stressed, not less. Your heart rate, your nervous system, quietly working harder behind the calm face. So sit with that. The exact thing you were taught to seem okay is one of the things keeping you wound up underneath. This isn't a character flaw. It's a highly practiced pattern. And patterns can change. And here's something that might land if all of this feels heavier than it used to. There's a reason for that, and it isn't just you. When researchers track well-being across the whole span of a life, it doesn't run in a straight line. It sags in the middle. It drops to its lowest point somewhere around the late 40s, and then, genuinely, it starts to climb back up. An economist called David Blanchflower found this same U-shape in data from more than 100 countries. Right now, a lot of your generation is sitting near the bottom of that curve. Carrying the old rulebook, at the very age the weight of everything peaks. So if you've been quietly wondering why you're this tired, this close to the edge, when you're meant to have it all worked out by now, that isn't a personal failing. It's the hardest stretch of a very well-documented road, and the road turns back up. Now, that voice, the one that says, not good enough, should have done better. Don't embarrass yourself. Here's what nobody tells you about it. It isn't the truth, and it isn't really you. It's a recording. A psychologist called Jonis Webb spent 20 years noticing something in capable, successful adults who felt oddly empty. She called it childhood emotional neglect, not cruelty. Just a childhood where nobody quite noticed what you were feeling, because the house was busy and the rule was, you're fine, off you go. And a child in that house does something clever to cope. They decide that if they can just be good enough, capable enough, low maintenance enough, then they'll be safe. They tie their worth to how well they perform. That little bargain doesn't switch off when you grow up. It hardens into a voice. The perfectionism was never vanity. It was a part of a small child's plan to earn the reassurance they weren't getting for free. So tonight, when you lie awake, replaying the one thing you got wrong and ignoring the 50 you got right, understand what that actually is. Not a flaw in you. A 6-year-old safety plan, still running, decades later, in a life that no longer needs it. Which is exactly why you don't fix this by trying harder. Trying harder is the pattern. You change it by catching the pattern while it's happening and doing one small thing differently. Start by naming the rule. Next time you're spiraling, refusing help, feeling guilty for sitting down, pause and ask, what rule am I obeying right now? And say it plainly. That's the I have to handle everything myself rule. Naming it does something. A study at UCLA by a researcher called Matthew Lieberman found that simply putting words to an inner experience calms the brain's alarm system down. The moment you name the rule, it stops being reality and starts being what it is. An old instruction, not a fact. Then, when that harsh voice starts up, ask one more thing. Whose voice is this, actually? And would I ever say it to a child? Because it almost never sounds like you at your kindest. It sounds older. And the second you notice you're repeating someone else's standard instead of your own, you get a choice you didn't have a moment ago. And here's the one you'll want to skip. This week, ask for one small piece of help you'd normally handle alone, genuinely small. Every part of you is braced for irritation or, why can't you cope? That's the old rule predicting the worst. So treat it as an experiment. Make the ask and watch what actually happens instead of what you fear will. Most of the time, the sky stays exactly where it is, and you've just collected one piece of real evidence against a rule that's gone unchallenged for 40 years. Because here's what all of it comes down to. Your brain is doing its job. It's just doing it in a world that no longer exists. The self-reliance, the suppression, the impossible standard. That was the job description of a child who had to keep themselves steady with very little help. That child did it brilliantly. They got you here. But the house isn't empty anymore. You're allowed to update the rules, to picture that kid who first learned to cope alone, and gently let them know they can put some of it down now, that someone can help carry it, that being good enough was never the price of being allowed to rest. You're not broken. You're just running patterns that don't work anymore. And patterns, unlike the past, can be changed. If any of this sat heavily and you want support to talk about it outside of your family or social circle, please reach out to your GP or a psychological therapy service. This is understanding, not a replacement for support you might need. Next time, we're asking the same question about a completely different generation. Because if you were raised to keep everything in, Gen Z grew up under the opposite pressure. Every thought shared, every moment seen, every version of themselves on record from the start, the same overthinking, a completely different route. That one's next. If this felt like something you needed to hear, the next one will too. Subscribe so it finds you. I'll see you there.